With that, we have a city manager report.
Dan.
So Bundy Canyon, as identified in our circulation element, is a 6-lane road, 6-lane facility. We currently, as you mentioned, just got a SCAD grant award for $300,000. And what that part of that study will do is look at our circulation element. There is some discussion, and we've seen some numbers that could suggest that Bundy Canyon might actually be only needed as a 4-lane now in the future as opposed to 6 lanes. So part of the SCAG grant would cover that. Early on, the county identified Bundy Canyon as a 4-lane that was currently in their system. When we became a city, we upped it to 6. So we would want to look at that. The other thing that I would want to note is we're at 65% complete. And in this plan that you have up there, you know, really pretty much starts at Cherry Street and it goes all the way up to Sunset. At the lower end is a development called the Oak Creek development. That landowner has a plan, as you can see the lower area there that says Bundy Canyon on it, that they're conditioned to improve. So through this effort, we have done an estimate, and our current project's about $32 million to complete. That full plan is $32 million. So we started looking through different options. We have options where maybe we only build, you know, the most important part and get through the curve and get right up to Tulip Street. That's about $15 million for a 4-lane road. We've worked with this property owner where they said, hey, look, we will not be able to go before you, but if you could help fix that curve and maybe build 2-lane facilities, at least we'll take care of all of the danger areas of concern. That coupled with a 8-SIP grant, which we currently have at $252,000 as a grant to do some safety improvements from Tulip up to the farm, would maybe help. So what staff's doing right now is trying to figure out how you build a $32 million project. We can't do it immediately. So what we can do is likely build a 4-lane facility, and this is where I'll start flipping over the plans. We could probably build a 4-lane facility from Cherry up to Monte Vista. It would include traffic signals at Monte Vista and at Sellers. And that has been one of the bigger comments that we have received throughout this whole process. We know that the Walmart would be coming in and they would be conditioned to build the 6th lane. And on the north side of Sellers, when that developer came in, they would also build a 6th lane. So that seems to make some sense there. As we get closer to Tulip, and I know this plan looks really confusing, it's because there's a lot going on. And this is where the project gets very, very expensive. Where it says Bundy Canyon, you can kind of see that crosshatch, that's where the existing road is. But you can see where we have to move the road. We're moving up north. And all those lines, that's grading, and that's removing 5 residents from their homes, purchasing their property outright, and doing all, this is also where we have a lot of environmental constraints. So that's one of the reasons why we've studied looking at maybe stopping somewhere between Oak Canyon and Tulip with our 4-lane road, and then we just go back to the 2-lane road all the way on up through Sunset. And then as development occurs, they would add on their extra lane or 2 lanes as they go. We did work with the property owner in this area, track 36388. They do have improvement plans for the ultimate alignment. They would be willing to, prior to them even finalizing their map, work with the city on right-of-way, and possibly even do an initial grading of that road, you know, within the next couple of years to keep their Army Corps permits going. What would happen here, which would be good, is we would actually identify where the 2 lanes goes. It would probably help better demonstrate what that development would look like, and it would also take out the big curve that has also been the other area of concern. They have done some traffic studies. Even with their project coming in, a 2-lane road is more than adequate as far as capacity. Any improvements that they would do at the intersections would also handle the capacity at that. So with that being said, a more detailed analysis of this overall project would come back to you in May during the budget time, but wanted to give you an update as to where we were thinking, because the last time we talked to you, you had approved a capital improvement project. And we've now got the final numbers, and it really is way outside of our budget to be able to build a 4-lane facility all the way through the whole thing. So that's kind of the highlight on Bundy Canyon, and I can answer any probably quick questions before we move on.
Before the attorney gets excited.
Yeah.
If we did do just the pieces and we leave this gap, would we even have the money to improve the gap as far as a new piece of asphalt on top of it? Because there's some parts of that we've all sort of looked at and go, well, hopefully it'll wait until we do the full improvement. If we're talking about waiting a long time, we've got some issues there that needs some.
Yeah, it would be a really long, it would be a long time, Ben, and I think what we're identifying is that where the real heat of the traffic now really is from the existing subdivision, Canyon Ranch, to the freeway. So getting that 4 lanes up to there is really going to be our heavier first need. From there all the way up to Sunset, that extra need really comes from the development that occurs in there. I mean, the current road, if we were to fix the alignment horizontally and vertically and just build 2 lanes. So where there's existing 2 lanes that don't quite fit, they need to update the pavement, we would do all that now. This 8-SIP grant then also provides 6-foot shoulders and a lot of safety enhancement. So we would actually have an alignment that is the ultimate alignment, but it's only 2 lanes. So that's really actually a great improvement. It would probably last us for a good decade, if not more, and it would really be dictated on the development needs in that area as to what would actually be improved. So that's kind of where we're currently feeling the...
So that would include the whole length going to 2 lanes then?
Right.
What's the cost on that?
With that cost, I do not have, I will have that cost you by May. We are still working diligently on that. We're fine-tuning it to try to figure out how to pull this off. We have gone to WRCOG and we have secured all the eligible TUMP funds for the whole project. And we've done that through a TIP amendment. Timing is also really critical on this because at one time, if the development would have gone first, a lot would have been done by then. I think the chances of us coming first is probably more likely. The other challenge is the way that TUMF works is they only give you for 2 additional lanes, and so if we were going to go to 6 ultimately, we would be able to cover that through all TUMF. And so the way it works now, you get 2 lanes from TUMF, you get 2 lanes for the city diff if we go to 6. If we were to build the 2-lane facility now, I could probably take credit for all 2 and build the whole alignment all the way up and through and use all those TUMP dollars. And then the downside is a developer who wants to come in down the road to build their 2 lanes, there would be no TUMP dollars left. But if we do the circulation element, TUMP changes, we easily can shift our diff that also covers 2 lanes. So we would still be able to help a development out with building those 2 lanes through our diff dollars. So there's a lot of moving pieces, as you can imagine.
So back to TUMP, I know the Nexus study is coming up. So right now in the Nexus study, it's still 6 lanes because we haven't done our circulation update, or did we go ahead and go to 4?
The regional model is suggesting that it only needs to be 4. So even though our circulation element says 6, I can credit a developer for lanes 5 and 6. But when the new Nexus comes up, it's only 4 and they will get nothing. So the only difference in the new Nexus though is I says, hey look, as we're going to go for, especially through this area of tract 36388, it's a complete new alignment. I asked them to at least model that as saying there's 0 existing lanes and we'd get credit for all 4. So that would be an advantage over what we currently have.
So that's going forward in the new Nexus study potentially?
That is in the current proposal of the next study, that's correct.
Okay, because we'll be voting on that potentially in May or April with WRCOG, so I'm
Right.
glad to hear those pieces.
Okay, so that is long, but there's a lot to Bundy Canyon, and we'll give you more. And I was hoping to give you kind of the idea so that as you come up with questions over the next 2 months, we'll work on the CIP, then I could sit down with you and I can actually roll out the plans, we could talk about it.